Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Albert Karakacha. I'm the president of Matatu Owners Association. We want to urge our members, wherever they are, to go back to work. We've come up with something whereby next week, I think there'll be something coming up. So we urge them to go back to work. And we want to thank the government. We are going to work very closely, and we've agreed to form a committee which is going to look into other issues related to the transport sector, mostly on PSV, because we've been having so many issues on insurance, we've been having issues on traffic matters, corruption. So we thank the minister. We are going to work very closely with his office to make sure that we enable the transport sector to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, that man who made that statement is right here on Capital in the Morning, this morning, from now until 9 o'clock as we delve into the conversation. It's the chairman, Matatu Owners Association, Mr. Albert Karakacha, in studio. First and foremost, good morning and welcome to Capital in the Morning.
Okay, good morning.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, we're about to delve into the conversation, and I'm sure you know so many questions have been asked, and you know some of the things that will come through, but we still encourage people to delve in, jump in, chime in with their questions. 0701-984-984. Do you have a question or a point of view that you'd like to be heard by the chairman himself? Let us know, and you can do it through that number, 0701-984-984, if you're sending a WhatsApp, or you can do it by tagging us on X, is it? Yes, at 984 in the morning using the hashtag drive in, spelt with a double N.
Alrighty, welcome, Mr. Karakacha. We're very excited to have you in studio because, last Monday, 18th, Kenyans woke up to a very different reality. Things were pretty much at a standstill. We became a walking nation. I remember being here and people coming into the office saying, Maalika, things are absolutely different out there. People are walking. Everybody needs to get to work. But of course, with the PSVs not operating, they cannot do so. The whole nexus, the whole crux of the strike being called for in the first place was over the hike in fuel prices. And we just heard you in that clip few days on after that saying, okay, the strike is off and we are going to discuss a lot of different situations around the transport sector. Now, a couple of days on from that, where are we today?
Okay, maybe to move on, my name's Albert Karakacha. I'm the president, not the chairman.
It's the president.
The president of Matatu Owners Association.
Yes, Mr. President.
Now, we know very well there was a strike, and the strike came in because of the issues within the transport sector. And the increase on the issue of the fuel, we know very well that the fuel has gone up. And when it comes to business, we are businessmen. The fuel has increased with around 46 shillings. And if you check the 46 shillings, that is where we make our margin at the end of the day. So we had to go on strike because the government was not listening to us. And we've talked with the government. There are so many issues which we are trying to push to make sure that they are being done, because within the transport sector, we have so many problems. Let's talk about corruption. Let's talk about the issue of untrained drivers within the PSV sector, the issue of the fuel. So we are in talks with the government, and what we are saying, we are businessmen, we are not politicians. So we want to tell the politicians to keep off. We want to urge the Kenyans, wherever they are, that we are going to work very closely with Kenyans to make sure that we try to improve on the issue of transport in this country.
So as businessmen, let's just start from the get-go here. I know you've mentioned some other things that are affecting the business, but let's talk about the one thing that is affecting Kenyans directly, which was the main focus, the core pillar of this whole situation, which is the fuel prices. What were your biggest concerns that led to that call for go slow or tools down?
The biggest concern was the issue of the increment, because for the last 2 months, the fuel has gone up 2 times. And the last, that was April. When it went up, we tried pushing the government to try to listen to us. They could not. Even we wrote to the Minister for Energy. There was no response. So from there was the next increment whereby people decided that we have to put our vehicles at home so that the government will listen to us, and then we see how we can get the way forward.
And what was the call? What was the demand specifically on that day? Let's go with that day. It's just happening. What are we asking the government to do if we are to come back from, or if we're not to put
Okay,
the
our demand was about the 46 shillings. And you see, in negotiation, there is give and take, whereby when we went for the first round with the minister, we agreed and they had to bring it down with 10 shillings. They gave us 10 shillings, which we had to take it. And
what was the initial desire for you guys?
We wanted the 46 shillings.
Down. Okay.
But they had to give us only 10 shillings. So from there, we were told that we need to wait for a meeting with the president, whereby we had a meeting. He has given another 10 shillings, which is coming the next cycle, which is June 14th. We are still waiting for that. And then for us to call off the strike, we know very well that we have what we call EV. And we know through EV we can bring the issue of the fare down. And the president announced very well that we are going to have 100,000 EVs coming to this country, duty-free, which we are working on it. Tomorrow I'll be in Parliament trying to see how we can push the issue of the finance bill so that it can be included. And then from there, we are talking to China to see how we can bring those EVs in this country.
You know, forgive me, President Karakacha, but you're speaking and you are almost matter-of-factly saying that EVs are coming. First and foremost, tumepunguziwa by your 20 shillings, we'll settle for that. But then the EVs are coming, and then you go on from matter-of-fact kind of way to, but they'll only come if this part works with this part, and then there's China, and then there's Parliament, then there's a finance bill. So it really leaves me thinking, like most Kenyans, kind of sounds like promises of a good tomorrow, which we've heard from this government time and again. So I'm wondering how realistic these EVs are going to be in terms of coming in, and who's footing the cost of them, because they're not coming for free, are they?
You see, we are investors, and we are the ones going to buy those EVs. What we wanted from the government is the issue of the taxes, which they've agreed to remove all taxes from those EVs. And what we are saying, we as Kenyans, all of us, we have to work together. Well, let's put the issue, because you see, if we dive into politics in this country, we are going to kill our economy.
Agreed.
So to us, we are urging Kenyans wherever they are. There are mistakes which are made here and there. People should recognize those mistakes and try to come up with solutions so that from there we can be able to see where we can take this country. If you compare Kenya and other countries, we can be ahead of everybody. But if we push in as more politics as possible, we are not going to go anywhere. So we are urging all the Kenyans that let's work as one in Kenya, so that we can be able to see how we can improve in terms of creating employment.
How would that look like? Because let's work together as one. First and foremost, help me understand how working together as one is going to bring satisfaction to the first and foremost one. The second page of yesterday's paper: bullets, broken dreams, final hours of men killed during the fuel protests. Another one, same page: families seeking justice after police killings during fuel price demos, and all this happening courtesy of a demo that you and your team called. Apart from that, we still have Kenyans who are still paying high prices in terms of the Matatu rates, in terms of transportation. Fuel is still beyond the reach of many, which then trickles down to food, which has already been a problem for most Kenyans, and now it just gets even harder to have a decent meal. I would love for you to help me understand how you intend to work together with these Kenyans and get them to believe that you're not happy with where you are.
Okay, what we can say that we kept off all our vehicles. We were not on the road. And we can say that that's what we are saying. We don't want politics into our business. We are businessmen. That's why we kept off our vehicles out of the road. And we know that there are those Kenyans who died. We will say we are sorry for that. We are not the ones who made them to die. We know very well that the government has the machinery. They can try to follow up to find out what happened. But us on the industry, we kept off our vehicles. And what we are saying, as we move on as Kenyans, because we have to move as Kenyans, we need to think about our country. We don't need to think about destroying our country.
Mr.
We know
President
very well
Karakacha, that is exactly what we're trying to do. So two things as we think about our country that I would urge you not to repeat elsewhere. First, we didn't cause them to die. It comes across as insensitive considering, I fully agree, that is not your fault.
Yeah.
But the strike or the demos didn't just happen. You talk about how you put your businesses aside and you guys are businessmen. But you called on other Kenyans to join in. You called on all transportation to cease. So I didn't drive to work because I was following that directive. A lot of Kenyans had to walk to work. There's challenges that came, and by the way, it wasn't Kenyans who are moored, like the Gen Z protests. You called it. So when they die, you can't then be like Caesar or Pilate and wash your hands of it. So that's one statement. And then the second one is, it almost comes across sounding like, who was that parliamentarian who said, people die and we move on? That's not working together. Kenyans are angry because you called for a strike, they came out, some lost their lives for it, for you and your cause, and then you come out with half a solution, and it seems to us, and it's one of the questions that I'm coming to, it seems to most Kenyans, not us, most Kenyans, that this is what usually happens, the brown envelope narrative, which is hard to ignore considering what you're saying right now.
Okay, we can talk about you've talked about the brown envelope, which to us we are leaders and we are not there because of the being given handouts. I've been in this business for the last 25 years. And I'm a businessman, and what we can say as leaders, we are supposed to focus and try to see how to help the economy of this country.
Correct.
So when it comes to the issue of handouts, we are not there. People have talked about it. You see, we are here to protect our country. We are not here to get handouts. So what we are urging Kenyans, wherever they are, we've been given 20 shillings by the government. There was a negotiation. We are still pursuing that negotiation, and we believe that we are going to get something going forward. The president mentioned about the 20 shillings, which they had given us 10 shillings, another 10 shillings coming in the next cycle.
So we expect that in the June-July cycle.
Yeah, it is coming.
Take
it is
diesel
coming.
further down.
Yeah, another assurance they've given us, the diesel, because we are in diesel, it's not going to go up again. They will try to see how to manage it. And we know that worldwide, maybe the next month, the fuel is going to go down. So we'll still pursue the government to make sure that the fuel comes down.
Okay, so where we are, Maalika, if I'm not wrong, is, correct me if I'm wrong, where the strike was called.
Yes.
They spoke to the government. They had their demands. It's a negotiation. You must give it, President Karakacha, that. It is a negotiation. You accept and you let go. You cede way while you gain some. It's usual. And we got 20 shillings ultimately will be 20 shilling reduction on diesel. There. Then we had the demos, which were then called off, courtesy of that visit to Mombasa, which you were saying categorically, no brown envelope exchanged hands. Was it offered, though? Out of curiosity, was it offered?
No, they did not offer anything.
They didn't?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And we don't want to be offered anything.
No, of course you don't. I'm just saying it's a first, considering some of the things I've heard. That's a first. And then now we're in this situation where everything is as is. My question is, have you reduced the prices across board? Because I've seen even hailing taxis are increasing the prices. Matatus, many routes have refused to reduce the cost. Why are you letting the customer bear the brunt of a decision you made?
If we go to the road rates now, from 10 up to around 3, there is what we call off-peak. And we are carrying passengers with 20 shillings. From Ruaka all the way to town, they are being carried with 20 shillings. Now, when it comes to what we call rush, is when the price goes up. And what we are urging the public, wherever they are, that let's work as Kenyans, because we know very well that as we move on, we are going to do something on the issue of the pricing.
Okay, now you've called for Kenyan unity. I think Kenyan unity was very much on display when this strike was called for, because you could tell that a lot of people left their cars at home. A lot of them were walking. They stood behind the transport sector 100%. Yet I think many of them felt as if the fruition of those talks that were meant to reduce fuel prices, as was asked by 30 shillings, 35 shillings, did not come to the fore. So far, we've seen the actualization of 10 shillings. You say, as the president has mentioned, another 10 June-July cycle is yet to be seen. Now, we also saw unity but disunity as well when it came to the transport sector's communication after the first round of negotiations. You know, we had all of the sector stakeholders out in making that announcement. However, there was one person, Kennedy Kaunda of the Tour Operators Association, who's now been made famous for, of course, with the all due respect phrase, where he came out and said, with all due respect, you know, he said to the CS, OPO, that no, we have not really reached that agreement yet. Now, during the Mombasa meeting that led to the suspension of the strike, he was not visible in the discussions. Why so?
You see, going to Mombasa, we can say that I paid for my ticket.
Oh.
Yeah, I paid for my ticket, and Kaunda was to pay for his ticket. He could not be able to raise the funds for him to come to Mombasa. So to us, when the strike was called on, it was about the transport sector, that is mostly on matatus. And we had to talk to the tour guys. We had to talk to the truck people were in Mombasa, you see, all the lorries. We had to talk to Uber were in Mombasa. So to us, he was unable to pay for his ticket, and it was a short notice whereby we were to meet the president and see what we can be able, because you see, by today we were supposed to have another strike, which we had to stop immediately, let's say by last Friday. So we had to move in Mombasa as fast as possible. We were summoned by the president.
How did that conversation go? Was it one-sided? Did you air your grievances, or did he come and say, listen, I hear what you guys are saying, I hear your arguments, but this is the situation and this is how it stands? Because in the press conference, he sounded like, this is the way I'm going, join it, or my way or the highway.
Okay, I think we took around 4 hours. That was on Thursday with him. And we really raised our issues, especially on the issue of the fuel, whereby we came up with that solution. And there are other issues like insurance, the issue of insurance, whereby we know very well that we have we call them the auctioneers, whereby they take our vehicles because of the claims. And he came up with a plan how we can go about it. And he gave the minister 90 days to make sure that he deliver on the issue of the insurance. The immediate thing we talked about is about the issue of transport, and whereby we are saying within a period of another 3 to 6 months, we should have those EVs in this country so that we can try to see how to lower the issue of the fares.
On the matter of electric vehicles, you know, we had a lot of chatter about the BRT system being the savior, the all Hail Mary that would transform transportation in this country. If that was not able to bear fruit and to truly come through, how do we expect the EV system to truly, you know, materialize fast enough that people are able to then not shoulder the cost of fuel because the electric vehicles are already within? What timelines are we even looking at?
You see, when you talk about the issue of the BRT, we do not have any infrastructure in this country as per now. And that one will take time. But when you talk about the EV, the infrastructure we have, we can still use it. And we are in business. We know very well within the PSV sector, we have already 100 vehicles, EV, in this country. So what we are saying, if we can move faster, we can be able to bring the EVs, and they will really bring the issue of the fare down.
Listen, we'll come back with this conversation. Albert Karakacha here is the president of Matatu Owners Association. Apologies for saying the chairman, having a bit of a candid conversation. And just for clarity's sake, we will come back and ask if everyone was in agreement or there are divisions within the rank. And of course, touch furthermore on the Matatus now and looking into the future, including the EV conversation. But we do have to turn our attention to the headlines with Nick, and we'll be right back with this conversation, which you are delving and changying, courtesy of our numbers. I look for the word. Our numbers and social media. At X, it's 984 in the morning, or you could do it via WhatsApp 0701 984 984.
SME owners, hustlers, this one's personal. If a medical bill has ever disrupted your business, or staff health costs have ever stretched your cash flow, then listen up. Capital FM is running a short, powerful survey to understand your real experiences with health insurance and how we can serve you better. It's just 2 to 3 minutes, completely anonymous. But your voice? It helps shape real solutions for SMEs across Kenya. And here's the big one. Your business could be featured right here on Capital FM. Head over to Capital FM's website or our social pages. Take the survey now and make your voice count. Don't get left out. Decisions are being made. And hey, stay locked to Capital FM for more on how we're amplifying your business. Capital News Headlines with Family Bank.
Kingi calls for reflection and humility in leadership. At least 10 students killed in Utumishi Girls Academy dormitory fire. And Uganda shuts border with DR Congo after recording 7 Ebola cases.
Through our Inua Shula solutions, we support schools with tailored financing for expansion, transport, and ITC infrastructure, empowering the next generation of learners and leaders. Tuko Imara Pamoja. Family Bank, with you for life. Family Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
Capital Sports Update, where sports is taken seriously.
Good morning. The Football Kenya Federation President Hussein Mohamed admits that the officiating levels in the country have not been up to the required standards. You can say that again, my brother. You can say that again. Hussein, in fact, says they are determined to improve the quality of officiating, notwithstanding the challenges they have faced thus far. The president's comments, of course, coming amid complaints from different coaches about the poor officiating standards in the FKF Premier League. Now, National Women's Rugby 15's team head coach Simon Odongo is confident of a great performance when they play South Africa in their final game of the Africa Cup, which is being held at the RFUEA grounds right here in Nairobi, and that game will be held on Sunday. Odongo says his players have ticked all the boxes thus far and expects more of the same against the defending champions. The Lionesses thrashing Madagascar just yesterday, 57-0 at the same venue, continuing their unbeaten run in the tournament. And finally, Manchester United are in advanced talks to take Atlanta, Brazil midfielder Edison for their first summer signing. Multiple sources saying a deal is close to completion with an initial fee of £35 million plus £3 million, of course, in add-ons likely for the 26-year-old. Senior United officials have played down the speculation and say there's no agreement for Edison, who has 12 months left on his contract. Now, while that conversation is going on, Enzo Fernandez actually wants to leave Chelsea. He's made that very clear since they have failed to qualify for Europe. But the club is going to ask for £120 million for the Argentina midfielder, which then could chase away some suitors. Congratulations and big shout out to the one and only Crystal Palace. They, of course, won the Conference League. That means we have Palace at the Conference League, Aston Villa at Europa, and on Saturday we have the Champions League final. And if this trajectory is anything to go by, English team in the final, Conference, Crystal Palace wins. English team in the final, Europa, Aston Villa wins. English team in the final, Arsenal.
Capital Sports Update, up-to-the-minute sports, where sports is taken seriously.
You know that feeling when an unexpected event disrupts your life? You're involved in a car accident, your building catches fire or gets flooded, your flight gets cancelled, or you lose your luggage. In those frustrating moments, there's comfort in knowing you're never alone. Choose NCBA Insurance, your reliable partner in offering tailor-made solutions which include a fast-tracked claims process. It's like a shield of protection, an umbrella during rain, or a warm hug when you're feeling down.
Insure every moment. NCBA. Go for it. NCBA Insurance Company is regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Authority.
Morning, sunshine. Good morning.
From the boardroom to the highway, Chiko and Maalika have your soundtrack right here on Capital in the Morning.
All of the girl them know so them classic. Make me see you all in the ear from you can black traffic. All road boy motorists, watch it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Where the traffic stop out there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Where the traffic stop out there. Yo, traffic blocking. Gyal a come down in her tights and stocking. Watch our hairstyle whopping, whopping. And the dress code ever shocking, shocking. Serious thing, traffic blocking. Gyal a come down in her tights and stocking. Watch our hairstyle whopping, whopping. And the dress code ever shocking, shocking. Bum ready, man. Put in the ear from you can block traffic. For any woman how they who know say them got it. The one them we got it here how them a drop it. A weird something sitting full me a out a socket. The way how she look from afar me spot it. Me have to stop fast and do me did a clock it. Draw down gear in a me automatic. But me windscreen and crack it. Yo, traffic blocking. Gyal a come down in her tights and stocking. Watch our hairstyle whopping, whopping. And the dress code ever shocking, shocking. Serious thing, traffic blocking. Gyal a come down in her tights and stocking. Watch our hairstyle whopping, whopping. And the dress code ever shocking, shocking. From halfway tree down to 3 mile block up. Half on the sidewalk, vehicle a track up. Stars and ride on a chat bout lock up. Him could handle the crowd so him send me back up. Back up them come down with truck fi pack up. A who cause the traffic stars and a chat up. When him see a who and how a bumper crack up. Fin head start hot up. Yeah, 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 yeah. Where the traffic stop out there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Where the traffic stop out there. Yo, I just traffic blocking. Gyal a come down in her tights and stocking. Watch our hairstyle whopping, whopping. And the dress code ever shocking, shocking. Bim, I just traffic blocking. Gyal a come down in her tights and stocking. Watch our hairstyle whopping, whopping. And the dress code ever shocking, shocking. Serious thing, look how she turn up. Shake the woman and the whole road jam up. Hand cart, bicycle, car jump and up. Everyone curious, want know what she a plan up. Want know what she a plan up. Want know what she a plan up. The hairstyle alone, me know a 10 grand up. Lord how she look, so I wonder what she am up. Little boy, big man, whole man a gang up. Traffic blocking. Gyal a come down in her tights and stocking. Watch our hairstyle whopping, whopping. And the dress code ever shocking, shocking. Bim, I just traffic blocking. Gyal a come down in her tights and stocking. Watch our hairstyle whopping, whopping. And the dress code ever shocking, shocking. Yeah, 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 yeah. Where the traffic stop out there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Where the traffic stop out there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
General degree, how about that? 15 minutes to the top of the hour, traffic blocking. Yeah, there's traffic everywhere actually, but it's one of those days. It's Thursday morning, it's 8, so expect that. But it's easing up. We'll probably be delving into a bit of traffic, but that's in the next hour. Right now, just enjoy the great music, courtesy of your best mix of music. Hang out with the one and only Maalika, aka Mal, and myself, Chiko. Quick one, you are probably going through life and it's hard as is, not to mention the Matatus and fares hiking, which by the way, Lamano Nambisi, who uses PSVs, and we'll get into that one, says there's been no change so far from what I can see, and I've used a PSV here and there, and I can tell you what I heard people say is that there has been no change. So you might just be thinking, maybe now I need something to help myself, prevent myself from having to deal with these random hikes here where there's a crisis, operators deciding, I'm gonna make a killing right now, and then when the crisis is averted, seemingly very little change. So you probably need a loan to buy a car, to pay for fees. I don't know what you need to do, but if you're looking for a personal loan, access an unsecured loan of up to 8 million shillings with a repayment period of 120 months. That's 10 years for you to pay to finance all your long-term personal expenses, including education. And you can do that by visiting any NCBA bank branch countrywide and applying for your loan today. Download the NCBA Now app on Play Store or App Store and get your loan instantly as well. Terms and conditions obviously apply.
Well, after you get that personal loan, make sure you also talk to NCBA about motor insurance, because the NCBA IG motor insurance is something that truly comes in handy. Whether it's repairs, fire, theft, or even third-party liability, they step in so you don't get stuck with the stress. It's pretty much foolproof, so you make sure you talk to NCBA about that and ensure every moment with them so you can truly go for it.
Absolutely, go for it. That sounds really good. Get that personal loan, buy an EV Matatu vehicle, bring it in, and then insure it with NCBA, and then we're all happy on the roads. Or are we? That's the question that we bring back to Albert Karakacha, who's in the house, president, of course, of Matatu Owners Association. Are we all happy? Are we really? You've heard feedback from one of the people who use PSVs, and a lot of other people will say the same thing. The prices haven't changed. In fact, if anything, we don't expect them to change. We don't expect them to be reviewed downwards, because that's not usually the case. The question is, do Matatu operators understand the challenges that Kenyans are going through? I understand it's a business. I understand you look out for yourself and your business, but your customers are struggling, and it seems to majority of those customers that when it comes down to crisis, Matatu operators know how to send that price up, and it's almost like they relish those crises, because in that moment you can make a killing.
Okay. We understand what the Kenyans are going on. And what we can say that we are in talks with the government to see, because you see, let's talk about the school-going children. And we believe that coming in by next year, we are going to come up with a way of carrying them for free from grade 1 up to university. There is something which you are working on as the Matatu Association to see how we can accommodate them. We know the elderly, from that is 70 and above. There is something we are going to do about it come next year. We know the disabled.
PWDs.
We are going to do something. Even the pregnant mothers, we are going to do something about it. So there is something coming up. So all Kenyans, we have to work together so that we can try to achieve what we are looking for. We know there is a problem when it comes to the economy outside there. People are suffering. And we listen to them. And let's say when it comes to what we call, let's say, off-peak hours, we normally carry them maybe with lower prices from 20 shillings up to around 50 shillings there. Now, when we push the issue of the EV, we know the prices will go down. So they just need to bear with us. There is something we are doing as the leadership of the transport sector. So there are good things which we are going to make sure that we help our customers going forward.
I think going forward, that vision is certainly strong. But as of present, we saw that 10 shilling reduction in the diesel. Should that not affect the fares already, even, peak hours? Because that's when majority of people are traveling.
I think right now you've talked about the issue of loans. And you see, we pay loans.
Yeah.
And that 20 shillings is going towards paying off our loans. And you can imagine if I remove that 20 shillings and I lower the fare, it's going to affect the business at the end of the day. So we are just urging Kenyans wherever they are, let's just, for a while, we are going to do something as the transport sector. This time around, they will see a change coming.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, bear with me here. That tells me you were in Mombasa and that you did have a conversation with the president.
We had a conversation with the president,
yeah.
and we've said that very well, that through the conversation, we managed to get 20 shillings. That is 10 shillings plus the other 10 shillings, which is coming in the next cycle.
It specifically touched a chord, struck a chord, strummed a chord. I'm not sure which one to use, but it did, because it sounded eerily familiar to what we were told when it comes to the finance bill. Listen, where we can't cut these things, because how are we going to be able to run government? We can't reduce because we have loans to pay. That was the Matatu. That was the government. And then we just have to bear with us, Kenyans, as we are building using your taxes. Bear with us. as we are still negotiating, you keep paying this, tighten your belt, not tightening ours. It sounds like the Mwananchi from both the government and the Matatu Owners Association has just been told, kila mtu ajipange nani.
Hatusemi kila mtu ajipange. Sisi tunasikiza wa Kenya. And we believe that there is something we are doing. We've talked about the off-peak, whereby our fares goes down up to 20 shillings within Nairobi, within Mombasa County.
But that's always been the case, sir.
No, it has never been there.
It has
when we
been
brought
the
in the issue of the increment, we say that during off-peak, we have to lower our fares. So when you
Mr. President, that's always been the case. From time immemorial, there are times the fare is high, and that is early morning and evening when people are trying to get home. And during the day, the prices have always been cheaper. Always, sir.
Now, you need to understand there is traffic. Let's say from here all the way to, from town all the way to Ngong. You'll get the vehicle is going to spend more than 2 hours. So you can imagine, if you don't come up with the best price, you are going to make losses at the end of the day. So I think there is something, we know there's infrastructure which is coming up, and maybe we'll need to urge the government that they need to put more effort on the issue of the infrastructure, because the more infrastructure we have, the more we will not have more traffic jams on our roads. They need to go slow on the issue of affordable housing and try to rethink on the issue of the infrastructure, because the more we open the infrastructure, we are going to move ahead as a country.
We've talked about infrastructure, systems, regulations. When it comes to how the fuel price is set, that fuel pricing formula, I'm very curious to know your thoughts on any reforms you suggested for this process as the transport sector in general.
Now, we told the government that we need to be involved when it comes to the setting up of the fuel, so that as we move on, we are able to know how we are going to adjust on the issue of the fares. We even came up with the issue of liberalization, because in this country we need to liberalize the market, so that, let's say, if I bring my fuel with 50 shillings, I'll sell with 50 shillings. If I bring it with 100, the customer will go where he feels that is going to benefit at the end of the day. That is what is even happening in the Matatu sector right now. You will get that we have like 3 circles going to Ngong. One circle will be charging maybe 80 shillings, another one will be charging maybe 70 shillings, another one will be charging 100 shillings. So what we are urging the government, as we move on, we need to think on so many ways of making sure that we help the common Mwananchi to benefit at the end of the day.
I'm hung on you need to be included in the pricing of fuel. On what grounds? What do you mean? Do you mean by them telling you this is where the price is going in advance, or you coming to the table and negotiating? And if it's the latter, on what grounds?
You see what we are saying? The government belongs to all of us. And the guys who are there, I'm sorry to say, you remember very well the president sacked around 3 guys, and it was said that there was corruption. So what we are saying, if we are on the table, we'll be able to see what is happening. And then from there, we'll say, we can't go this direction, we have to go this direction. Because we are working for Kenya. We are not working for individuals.
No, you're actually working as a business. You've made that very clear. So
yeah, as
if you're there, am I the only one who's wondering what...
The conflict of interest?
What would you
There's
add?
no conflict of interest.
Like, what would the Matatu Owners Association be adding? And this is an honest question. I'd really like to be educated on this.
Yeah.
Like, why you?
Let's say if you go to Kotu, they sit on the board of SHA. Why not Matatu sitting on the board of SHA? Do we have any conflict of interest? No. There's no conflict. We are going there to represent our membership.
Kotu is Teachers Association, talking about medical that covers
even
teachers.
So
if you guys were in SHA, that would be not conflict of interest because you're fighting for the medical cover.
Even in fuel, we are fighting for our business at the end of the day.
Wait,
yes,
the people or the business? Which one?
You see, we have to fight for the people. When we sit on the table, it's going to be easier for us to negotiate and say we can't go this direction. We have to go this direction.
This is the same thing that I feel when we what's his name? What's his the guy they put kwa medicine ule alikuwa Raila Gaucho to come in and tell professionals how to run. I'm not saying you're incapable. I'm just saying I really don't see how you can argue, okay, don't increase the fuel price of diesel there because we won't be happy. How does that go?
You see, when you come to the PSV sector, we have graduates who can sit on those boards. And we believe through that it's going to help the industry to move ahead.
Yeah, taxes and reduction in those unnecessary taxes in fuel, that's what would help us fight this whole situation. And of course, moving possibly from the G to G, which has proven to be more expensive than it should be, with a set value of 100. And guess who's carrying the cost? The customer. The same customer that you share, by the way, the normal mwananchi, who at this situation, I can't blame her for sitting there and thinking, my goodness, I think we are on our own, because everyone is taking care of themselves, and then you guys will think about you later. Let's think about this actually right now. What happens if the government does the same thing, if they refuse to change their stripes and make those promises and do absolutely nothing?
You see, as leaders, we say that we are going to hold the government accountable. What we agreed with the president, we are going to follow it up to make sure it's happening. And what
if it doesn't happen? What options do you have on the table?
We are still there, and we will still say that we will go and mobilize our members and say we've not achieved what we are looking for, and we'll come up with a way forward.
You think they'll have the same goodwill from Kenyans? You will have the same goodwill
we will have,
from Kenyans?
You see that we are fighting for Kenyans. If you ask me, we are fighting for, as a businessman, I want to feel that my customer is getting what he's supposed to get. So that's why we went for strike.
Well, he's getting what he's supposed to get, considering he and she did vote for this government. They're getting a hiding right now in terms of the cost of living. It's just mind-blowing. What do you say to them? Because, like I said, the Kenyan, the normal mwananchi, is left there in the middle thinking, who's looking out for me? What is the final thing you'll say to this mwananchi who's caught between government promises and Matatu
You see, what we can say, the government needs to sit down and try to come up with good formulations, plans, so that at the end of the day, it can impact very well to the common mwananchi. We will say that those people who advise the president, they need to rethink twice. Because I think when we sat down with him, we believe that he can manage to make things work. But we believe that the advisors, I think they need to do something. Because that is where the problem is.
Is that
because they don't feel about, I'm sorry to say, when he came to power, he talked about the hustler. Now, that hustler narrative should continue. Because you see, we are the growing economy, and we have more hustlers all over the country. So what we are urging the government, the president, wherever he is, he need to think, let's sit down. Those advisors must think and see what can they be able to do.
He is currently at the National Prayer Breakfast, as we have seen live pictures from Safari Park. So basically you're saying the people who have his ear, those are the ones that need to change.
They need to change. Because to us, if they give him the good advice, I think he's somebody who can try to push the country the right direction.
Yeah, well, I guess the electorate is the one that will decide whether he is the person who can try or has been trying to push the country in the right direction. Our opinion right here really doesn't matter. Kenyans have their own opinion 100%. I do want, however, to touch on those numbers. Just finally, you talked about diesel, Matatus, the EVs coming through and reducing on the cost. Kwani, how many Matatus in terms of numbers do we have that have diesel engines vis-a-vis petrol? Because the big concern is for diesel. Most of the Matatus, I think I'm known, have petrol. And how does that change in terms of numbers for the EV consignment?
Okay,
that is
what you can say,
in?
we have around 250,000 Matatus on the road. And to us, if we can be able to push in even 40%, it will change, mostly particularly in our urban centers, like Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Kisumu. So it will really change. Yes.
All right. How many how many vehicles are you thinking would come in, EVs, to have a good impact?
Within the Matatu sector, we are talking about, we need like 40,000. But going forward as Matatu, we believe that we need almost 70,000 all over the country, they will create a very big impact.
Big impact.
Yes.
Then there's the charging stations that we have to think about, not to mention bringing them in the first place, getting mechanics who will be able to deal with it. Then
The charging station, it's very easier to bring them. It needs only 6 months for us to have all charging stations all over the country. Yes.
There we go. The president of the Matatu Owners Association, right here, Albert Karakacha. Man, thanks for coming in. Thank you for answering our questions candidly and for bearing with us as we try to voice the concern of the Kenyans who feel rather disappointed at this particular moment. But it's good to hear your thoughts. From what I've gathered, conversations were had, and more importantly, solutions are in the pipeline. Now, if they don't happen as agreed, there is a chance that the Matatu Owners Association and other institutions could call for you and I to go back to the streets. Have I missed out on anything there?
No.
Question is, will you come? Yeah, take your time on that one.
Kenya is feeling the pressure. From food prices to fuel, from rent to jobs, the cost of living is shaping everyday decisions. This May, Capital FM brings you the state of the economy and the cost of living. Real conversations, real impact. Because it's not just about the numbers, it's about the wananchi. Stay with Capital FM. We don't just report the story, we drive the conversation. Prices are rising, incomes are strained, and the questions are getting louder. What is driving the cost of living? What solutions are on the table? And where does the economy go from here?